A lot is going on in crypto right now as we speak, but because the price has not been moving too crazy, I've gotten a little bit behind on making all these crypto update videos, and so in this video, I'm going to be going over everything that you need to know about that's going on in the crypto space right now. So if you guys enjoy the daily crypto news, make sure you press that like button, and let us dive right in. First of all, crypto prices are in pretty neutral territory, and honestly, kind of from our analysis, not that much has changed what we covered before. Over the short term, things for Bitcoin are not looking amazing, but we're all looking whether or not we can basically continue with this little longer form uptrend, similarly with XRP. And just to quickly get you guys into it, here's a couple of very important things that happened. First of all, the Chinese courts declared crypto as legal property. And it's very interesting to see China's policy in comparison to that of the US, because everybody was laughing when China banned crypto, but right now it's starting to seem as if their ban was at least a statement of, hey, get out. We don't want you here. And it let the people over in China, at least, also the choice to go to other countries to develop whatever they wanted to develop. Whereas in the US, it's more along the lines of, we won't tell you whether or not something is allowed, but if you do something that we didn't agree with, we'll come after you afterwards. And I'd say that that's even more difficult to handle. At the same time, this article is a little bit older, but the idea still stands. Right now, I'd say they're even talking about it more. And that is about a potential massive FTX sell-off. It's being alleged, again, it's being said that next week, September 13th, some massive amount of cryptos could be sold off. A big selling pressure is potentially coming next week. FTX will likely get approval to liquidate its assets September 13th. FTX had $3.4 billion in crypto in April. The proposed plan is to sell assets worth up to $200 million per week. Now, of course, for every seller, there's a buyer. But I'm kind of looking at this thinking the XRP, the Aptos, the Ethereum, the Bitcoin will be fine. But Solana and FTT, $700 million, $550 million. Yeah, that's a bunch. Again, the stable coins don't really matter, but these ones, damn. I mean, FTT is not really, there's not really that much to sell. So that's kind of like lost. But Solana, it's just going to completely crash things, you would think. Clouded says, well, actually, in actuality, it's only the Bitcoin and Ethereum ones that do matter, which is from the perspective that, well, again, out of all these, he doesn't care about most of them except for those two. I'd say $200 million, $90 million for Bitcoin and Ethereum, that's just not enough money to really care about at all. It's mostly these altcoins at the top, like a Solana, that could get hurt a lot. And I just hinted upon this, I just quickly glanced over it, but this is actually probably the most important update I could give you all right now, which is if you are on an iPhone, you're not an Android user, but an iPad or iOS user, take a look at this. This was posted yesterday. The Apple iOS and iPad updates today include a security patch to an iMessage vulnerability that allows remote code execution without any interactions from the victim, meaning they send you something and, well, apparently you get exploited. It is being exploited in the wild by the Pegasus threat group already. Update immediately to stay safe. Well, Pegasus is malware, not a group, but apparently CZ did not know that. There's something else that's quite interesting that's happening. DCG is the parent company of Grayscale, CoinDesk, and a lot of other companies. And Coin Bureau just posted this. Oh no, other feds involved now, and it refers to the U.S. authorities, including the FBI and the SEC, are reportedly investigating DCG. According to Bloomberg, authorities have been meeting with Winklevoss twins to discuss DCG. The twins, co-founders of the Gemini crypto exchange, recently made many allegations against them, and so that's going to be rather interesting to see how the FBI could be going after them. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but here are two very interesting videos to watch.
Over 70% of the crypto market is Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. Why did I name those four? They're not securities.
Unfortunately, this administration made a really bad call.
At the city level or at the federal level?
At the federal level. They pretty much killed San Francisco from being what it was, the blockchain capital of the world. We owned it, and we don't anymore because the Biden administration, for whatever reason, decided they want to push this industry offshore. And so it's London, Singapore, Dubai that really are the global capitals of blockchain. That's unfortunate. Maybe our vacancy rate would be half of what it is here in San Francisco. It's 30%. It might have been 15% if we still were the global blockchain capital of the world. So that was a missed opportunity. It's really unfortunate. It hurt the city.
The latest with Ripple Labs action at the federal level is that you have objected to the SEC's request to appeal the original court ruling, which was a positive for Ripple in the sense that it found the cryptocurrency XRP was not a security when it was sold to the public. Could you just explain what the latest is with that legal dispute?
Well, I think the bottom line is the SEC lost on everything that was important to them and important in regulation of the industry. The case still continues. There's appeal processes that everybody has the right to do. But we think that this is really groundbreaking. This is the law of the land. And it's actually quite good news, I think, I think the U.S. screwed up here on crypto and blockchain policy. This is the beginning now, through the courts, unfortunately, instead of through regulators, to get that clarity and get us back in the game.
Well, there's kind of both happening in parallel. There's your situation with the SEC. Think about the applications pending for Bitcoin spot ETF. Gary Gensler and the SEC have both decisions to make on applications and fights that they are or are not willing to pick. How has that reflected on Gary Gensler, to your mind, as lead of that?
Well, you bring up a great point. You saw in the latest challenge on the ETF, the Bitcoin ETF. Again, SEC lost, but not only that, the judge really admonished the SEC, really called them out in a way that you don't really see very often. I think it's just more proof that Gary Gensler's decision of sort of engaging this regulation by enforcement, rather than getting clear laws, he knows they're not clear. He just likes that lack of clarity so that he can go after anybody and make up the rules as he goes along through bullying. And that's not the American way. This should be at Congress. We should have clear rules from the legislatures, not through these sort of unelected, power-hungry, and really misplaced decision makers that you see in Gary Gensler.
And that last part from Chris Larson here, the co-founder of Ripple, is really interesting to me when we compare it to what I said at the start of the video, where again, China, they've been so adamant about Hong Kong fine, and China, no, made things so much easier, and the SEC really made a costly mistake. But I'm also kind of like thinking about it from the perspective of how deep could their plans be? How deeply rooted is all of this? And I know another video, but I just want to quickly show you guys this and see what y'all think about it.
Or most of us know people who were about to buy a home. They were ready to do it, and at the last moment, somebody comes in with a cash offer and scoops it out from under them. We've all heard those stories. Why is that happening? BlackRock. There's three companies: BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. And those three companies, which all own each other, so it's really one huge behemoth, also own 88% of the S&P 500. And now they have a new target, which is to gain ownership of all the single-family residences in this country. And they are on a trajectory to do that if they continue.
Many people have come up to me over time and said this is what they're also doing with cryptocurrencies for the most part. They have some very interesting pricing tactics to make sure that you own less and less and less of it right now. And eventually they'll make sure it's so expensive that you, as a normie, are not going to be able to get in anymore. You'll always have a minor share in all of these major projects in terms of the token, but also in terms of the actual share, obviously. And perhaps that's why they wanted to shut down Ripple so much. But hey, that's a little bit of a heavier allegation to make. Alright, and now before we move on, I want to tell you guys about our partner for today's video, which is called APF Digital AgriFund. It's a token that's already listed on a couple of different centralized exchanges like HitBTC, Bitforex, etc. And the idea is that they're a family-owned company mostly focused on the agricultural land in the Czech Republic that's now trying to go towards crypto. They're trying to close that gap between the agriculture realm and the digital currency realm. And so they've got a cool initiative where they buy up lots of land and lease it out and get themselves a very cool buyback / guaranteed yield of sorts. I sometimes kind of see it as a staking reward for the token holders, as obviously the land that they lease out also gets some profit. And legal-wise, as always, do your own due diligence. Check out exactly if this fits your risk profile and the regulations in your country. But from a concept, I think it's something that's not really been done before, and it's rather interesting because, well, apparently, following their numbers, they've been doing this for a while, and in theory, are only going to keep doing better as they acquire more land and keep securing more and more buyback options. Anyway, like I said, they don't really do any native staking for as far as I understand about their token, but they've got something pretty similar, I guess. Which, again, with a lot of these projects, they offer you some sort of yield for holding their token for a while. Sometimes it's native staking, sometimes it can be in the form of a promise of sorts, or of buybacks, either of the total supply or of your tokens at a certain price. And these guys have done it this way. Our innovative approach to the buyback option introduces a trio of enticing fixed interest rates. 66% for 12 months, 130% for 24 months, and 190% for 36 months. Now, again, I am saying once more that if you're in the US or some jurisdiction like that, I would read the fine details of it a little bit more, because from my understanding, the line between a security and this is kind of absent, because the idea sounds almost too good to be true, right? It's just a pretty amazing initiative, and I mean, looking at the numbers, they've been doing pretty good for a while now, and got some serious potential for future growth. Anyway, like I said, it's a very cool initiative, especially if they can get done what they're saying they want to do. If the numbers are all true, it's actually pretty amazing what they've already gotten done. And the initiative with their buyback sounds pretty amazing, because that would basically be like a 66% return a year by investing in this agricultural land. As always, do your own due diligence though, and always be careful. But anyway, thank you to APF Digital AgriFund for partnering up with us on the channel, and specifically on this video. And let us move on with the next subject. But anyway, I've been saying it for a good while, but I'll still remind you guys of exactly what I preach very often. At the end of the day, guys, we're holding this currency, XRP, or really any currency for that matter, for the long term. And I really encourage everybody to understand what they're buying. Don't just buy something because a YouTuber tells you so. It is stupid. Always, always, always just look into it. Somebody gives you a suggestion, make sure that you for yourself understand what you're buying, and specifically with XRP here. I see so many negative comments of many people saying, oh, it's dead. Oh, most of these people have no idea, and I want to almost break my freaking iPad when I say that. Most people have no idea what's being built. So how can you speak? How can you look me in the face and say, no, you're stupid, you're buying something that's dead, when you don't know what you're talking about? Anyway, I can sit here talking and blabbering on about that for an hour or two, but I honestly believe most people would be better off to just buy something, never look back at it again. Because if you can't, or at least you don't want to understand what you're buying, it's best to just, at some point, right, for some people, listen to whatever you hear somewhere and just invest instead of doing nothing, putting no risk in, putting no effort into potentially getting some life-changing money, and just accept that it might work out. But for all the people that are actively looking for it, I've said this before, in the next bull market, and it's going to be here pretty shortly, there's going to be so many opportunities for crazy returns in a very short amount of time. And all you've got to do is pay close attention and understand the game. But I'm going to break everything down so simply that if you don't understand the game, that's on you. Make sure you prepare for it, and hopefully I'll see you guys again in another crypto video soon. I'm out.